ChatGPT, it's the topic on everyone's mind right now, and while most people are using it to finish their homework, I'm using it to make my Pokemon challenge harder. Yup. Instead of the usual Nuzlocke rule of catch the first Pokemon you see, I would instead ask ChatGPT for a random Pokemon from each route. Also, after every gym battle, ChatGPT will release one of our Pokemon, quickly turning this baby game into a full year of therapy sessions. And if you don't want that to happen, make sure to subscribe, No? I started my journey by asking ChatGPT which starter to choose, to which it responded with
Totodile.
So I picked up Totodile, named it Bruno Mars, and went on our way towards the next objective. We picked up this egg and had to walk all the way back until we could finally start this hell of a challenge. But first, this edgy teenager wants to battle us. Now, it would be a shame if we lost our first battle to a crit, right? Wait, did you really think I was going to lose this? Back at Elm's lab, I was accused of theft and blamed it on the edgelord from before, who I aptly named ChatGPT. Okay, now the run could officially start. I grabbed Lyra's balls and then asked the AI what Pokemon to catch.
Hoot hoot.
So I caught it and moved on to our next encounter, which was a Rattata. I named it Remy and caught a few other Pokemon until we reached Violet City. Here we can take on the gym, but first there is one more encounter to get. We encountered this measly Hoppip, which is an atrociously bad Pokemon. But what I didn't realize was how hard it was to catch this little bitch. We named him Salad, cleaned through Sprout Tower, and braced ourselves for the first gym. The gym leader here only has flying types, which meant that Dwayne the Geodude had a field day with his birds. But now, it was time for ChatGPT to reap the life of one unlucky soul.
Totodile.
And just like that, Bruno Mars the Totodile had to be released. You were amazing just the way you are, buddy. So, with Totodile locked inside heaven, we continued on. Okay, I'll stop. On the way towards the next gym, we picked up Ratio the Zubat and dealt with Team Rocket's shenanigans. So now it was time for the second gym, which we were underleveled for. Yay, I guess. Bugsy opened with Scyther and I with Geodude. He immediately pulled a 180 and switched to Metapod, which was terrifying since Geodude was my golden ticket to sweep through his entire team. I completely ignored things like playing around crits and level up your Pokemon, and ended up making my dumbest mistake yet by staying in with Geodude. I switched in Beedrill to kill the Kakuna, and out comes Satan Incarnate. I noticed that Beedrill's damage just wasn't gonna cut it, so I was left with no choice but to sacrifice it for the greater good. Goodbye, Doge. Your death will not be in vain, I think. But there's no time to mourn, so I switched in Hoothoot hoping it could survive one attack, and they crit me. Trying desperately not to get swept by the second gym, I tried stalling him with Confusion and switched to Salad to poison it. But he once again goes on to crit Salad, killing yet another Pokemon. So I switched to Zubat, but guess what happened? And then he just killed himself in Confusion. So after the most intense fight imaginable, ChatGPT has to claim yet another soul. So we spin the wheel and...
Rattata.
And so, Remy, our savior through Bugsy's team, was released. By now, the feeling of death is already starting to feel numb. And with one lone soldier left, we were already at an all-time low. Trying to piece this run together again, I noticed that I missed a couple of encounters. So after picking up Y the Slowpoke and Boo the Ghastly, ChatGPT wants to fight. Deprived of any fear, I led with Slowpoke against his Bayleaf. I saw Slowpoke's life flash before my eyes as he used Magical Leaf. So I switched in Boo to handle the rest, and trust me, this run does not get any less scary from here. We trekked on through the Ilex forest, picking up a much needed new team member in Salad 2 the Oddish. On the route before Goldenrod, ChatGPT wanted us to catch a Drowsy, who I named L+. Combined with Ratio, it may... Oh yeah, he's dead. I prepared for Whitney by catching an Ekans named Snake. Get it? Because like, Ekans is Snake. Anyways, it's time for Whitney and her demonic Miltank. Dwayne whittles her down, and I show no personal growth whatsoever by not switching when I'm clearly in crit range. And oh, I switched to Drowsy, who disables her stomp, which I now realize was the stupidest fucking decision I could have made. And now the cycle continues as she starts using rollout. Fearing for her dear Odysseus' life, I switched to Slowpoke, who sadly couldn't make it. Geodude came out with vengeance as he got stomped to death. I somehow felt this was preventable. But nonetheless, I sent out Snake, who killed it with a singular bite. We took our badge and awaited the darkness that was looming over us, as we had to throw away yet another perfectly healthy life force.
Oddish.
Death is starting to feel all too familiar, as we are once again left with 3 brave Pokemon. On the next route, I caught our newest additions to the team. Welcome the likes of Mouse the Nidoran and Woodolph the Stantler, among others. On our way towards the next gym, we found a moving tree, threw water at it and then battled it. By now you may have realized that I'm not one to make the smartest decisions in the moment. And this fight was no exception, as I stayed in while in crit range. But it's fine. I mean, it's not like we've ever died to a crit before. That was a lie. So after helping the destruction of the planet, we arrived in Ecruteak. But first, there is one more encounter we missed. You see, in Goldenrod, there are 5 potential encounters we can get. So we asked ChatGPT, who wanted me to choose Dratini. So naturally, I resorted to gambling. I played until I had enough for a Dratini, and then I played some more. Okay, maybe a bit more. And with Dragon the Dratini joining the squad, we went into the Burn Tower where ChatGPT lurked. This time around, I don't have much to say about this fight, as Nidorina kind of tore through his team. We listened to this guy drool over Suicune and then went into Mortis' gym. Nidorina turned out to be very effective against his ghost, but his Haunter hit a hypnosis on us. I tried waking Nidorina up when Haunter used Dream Eater, reminding me that I should really be more careful. So I switched in Snake, who killed his entire team. With the 4th gym badge, the game opens up a ton, as we can now tackle the next few gyms in whatever order we like. But before we do any of that, I have something to do. Pokeathlon, the place you've probably never heard of. This place sells different items daily, and today just so happens to be a Moonstone, so... With the Moonstone, we were able to transform our small mouse to a bigger mouse. Also on the topic, I might have date skipped to buy a Firestone to evolve Vulpix, but don't tell anyone. The next task on our list requires us to climb the lighthouse in Olivine, just for Jasmine to tell us to go all the way back down again. So on our way towards Cianwood, we caught SpongeBob the Tentacruel and met Eugene again, who wanted to put us to the test. However, I didn't pay that much attention, which caused this mistake to happen. This death was soul-crushing, since Haunter had been with us for so long, and then he just died because I made an oopsie. But nevertheless, we entered the fighting gym, still carrying the guilt of killing our ghost. This fight really only came down to stalling out the Poliwrath, until Stantler eventually took him out with a crit. Outside the gym, we obtained the TM for Fly, and if you've been paying attention, you might have noticed that we didn't release a Pokemon after the last gym, in which you would be right. So I released 2 Pokemon this time. Does this compromise the integrity of the challenge? Maybe, I don't know. But I don't really care. So we release Sunkern and our newly evolved Hypno and move on like nothing happened. We snatched the medicine, gave it to Ampharos, and would you look at that, we're already at the next gym. The problem with doing the Steel type gym now is that the level cap for this gym is higher than the next gym. But come on, what's the worst that could happen? Nothing, apparently, as an underleveled Ninetales was the answer to melt all of our Steel types. On to the next town! On our way towards Mahogany Town, we met a bunch of new friends, such as Salad 3, Quagmire, and Reddit. Our next objective required us to take care of this sick Gyarados. I put it out of its misery and caught a healthy one instead, named Pogfish. Then we witnessed Lance murder someone right in front of us. The following is all of the Team Rocket stuff again, which you probably don't wanna see, and I sure as shit don't want to explain, so Ice Gym! One thing I will mention is that we caught an Electrode named Ball, which was surprisingly useful in this fight. His Pilot 1 gets taken out by Ninetales and his last Pokemon puts up a fight, but ultimately goes down to rollout. Team Rocket then puts up with the exact same shit from before, so we plow through all of the trainers until we reach the big boss Archer, which we somehow demolish without any casualties. And that was 50 minutes of gameplay summed up in about 10 seconds. Yeah, you're welcome. Next up, the Ice Cave. You know, the place with the ice mechanics. There's not much of note here aside from the HM4 waterfall on the ground and a new companion in Harry the Swinob. As soon as I arrive in Blackthorn, I realize that ChatGPT hasn't taken away our friends in a while. Okay, I get it. You can scream at me in the comments all you want. We perform our usual ritual as ChatGPT asks us to offer Reddit and SpongeBob to please its immense bloodthirst. I know this might come off as strange, especially coming from me, but I kind of don't want any more Pokemon to die. Also, this next gym terrified the shit out of me, as Claire had her signature Kingdra with Sniper, which makes crits do triple damage, essentially one-shotting everything. So, with my most stacked team yet, I challenged Claire. She opened with Gyarados, which was a terrifying matchup for her. And as Kingdra approached the field, I felt the adrenaline starting to rush. Mamoswine somehow managed to tank an attack from a ruthless dragon. So in a moment of panic, I switched to Quagmire. But little did I know that this would be his downfall. In my defense, I thought she was gonna use Hydro Pump, which would heal us, but sucks to suck, I guess. In a last-ditch effort, I used Sleep Powder, which thankfully didn't miss. I set up a light screen, switched to Gyarados, and was immediately punished. Well, goofball, do something. After wiping half my team, this demonic creature finally falls. And even after all that, she still won't give us the damn badge. But as if that wasn't enough, we still have to release one last Pokemon.
Miltank.
So off to the skies she goes, and off we go to the Dragon's Den. We answer this old man's painfully obvious quiz to obtain the last badge. Like, the questions were pretty much, do you like punting Pokemon off the Eiffel Tower? No? Oh, okay, here's your badge. On the way out, we got a second Pugfish, but this time with a sad face. And I promise it won't die this time. I hope. We picked up the Master Ball from Professor Elm and proceeded to demolish the 5 Kimono Girls. After obtaining the Tidal Bell, we beelined it towards the Whirl Islands. This is one of those caves where they really want you to use Flash. So, like a millionaire paying their taxes, we didn't. We watched the Kimono Girls do the Gangnam Style and then encountered the legendary Lugia. So after killing their deity, the long road towards the Pokemon League lies ahead of us. And I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and guess that you probably came here to see some Pokemon. You sadist. As we approached the end of Victory Road, our cold-blooded rival came running after us. He stood tall, acting as the last hurdle before the finale of the nightmare that is this run. We came out unharmed physically, but he has already damaged our emotions enough. As I entered the Elite Four, I started feeling the pressure of honoring all our buried warriors, since this would be my only chance to right all the dumb decisions I've made. Before we entered, I built a team of 6 that would hopefully be the ones to carry us through this horrific boss rush. Mouse the Nidoqueen, Dragon the Dragonair, Hot the Ninetales, 4chan the Dugong, Harry the Mamoswine, and last but not least, Pugfish the Gyarados. The first adversary we were up against was Will, the Psychic Master. His Psychic types tried their best, but ultimately succumbed to the onslaught of attacks we threw at them. Against all odds, we somehow managed to approach Koga unscathed. Koga's team was really just a glorified shooting range for our Ninetales, seeing as 3 of his Pokemon were weak to fire. After a not so surprising victory, we arrived at Bruno. His team of 5 fighting Pokemon were intimidating, considering we have 2 ice types. So I came up with a strategy. I led with Nidoqueen, which ensured that his Pokemon used Dig. Then I switched to Gyarados, while Hitmontop just let us get away with +6 sword stance. After that, Gyarados looked like a pitbull let loose on a horde of toddlers. The last Elite Four member was none other than Karen, the Dark type user. She opened with Umbreon, so I took my time setting up. Next, she straight up sent out her ace right away. However, Gyarados took care of it with one silly waterfall. I know setting up might be lame, but remember that Houndoom could have just swept my entire team with +2 Dark Pulses. I got a bit arrogant and tried finishing Gengar off when I realized he had Destiny Bomb, a move that kills the opposing Pokemon if the user goes down. And before I realized it, Mouse was no longer with us. What made this even more sad is that Nidoqueen had been with us for the longest of everyone on the team. But we quite literally don't have time to mourn, as Lance is standing in our path to victory. We both led off this fateful battle with Gyarados as a sign of honor. We fought even when our HP was at 1, but we came out victorious. His Aerodactyl fell to a single waterfall from Pogfish. Next he sent out one of his 3 Dragonite. So naturally, I switched to Harry, who has been training vigorously for this moment. He managed to crit the Dragonite with Ice Shard, taking it out immediately. I think Lance got a bit offended after the crit, so he just sent out Charizard. And horrendously misplayed. Next on the list came his ace, which was yet another Dragonite. But this time he wasn't around, as he survived with 1 HP and killed Harry. Lance showed a lack of empathy and went on to kill 4chan too. I burned him with Ninetales, which he didn't seem to appreciate. Ninetales unfortunately suffered the same fate, and things were seeming hopeless. With no choice, I tossed in Gyarados, who, mind you, still has 1 HP. Just hoping he hit himself in confusion, I used Dragon Dance. Lance healing here might have been the luckiest thing all run. And just like that, our mortally wounded Gyarados ended up slaying both his dragons, making our 2 Pokemon the true champions of Johto. You didn't think we'd make it this far without fighting Red, did you? Oh no, I grinded out this boring ass Kanto fetch quest in just a measly 4 hours. After acquiring all of the badges in Kanto and bearing the guilt of probably needing to go outside, I made my way towards our last destination, Mount Silver. This is where boys become men, and where this challenge will end in one way or another. So I walked out the cave and challenged Pokemon Trainer Red. I killed a signature Pikachu with a single Earthquake from my own Pikachu. Next he sent out Lapras, and I realized I'm extremely unprepared for his team. Nearly every Pokemon I have is either weak to ice or water, which is bad considering 3 of his Pokemon have Blizzard, a ridiculously powerful move which doesn't miss in Hail. Knowing there's little we can do in this situation, I prayed that we could survive 1 move, which we did. But that doesn't matter if you can't kill the other Pokemon either. Dragonite manages to kill Lapras somehow, but there's no time to celebrate as Snorlax immediately revenge kills us. At this point, things were seeming hopeless for us. Snorlax just killed one of our strongest Pokemon and wasn't afraid to do it twice more before Vileplume finally put a stop to this monster. Vileplume fought hard, defeating the rest of his team. Just kidding, we lost. Despite losing, I still felt that this should be included just to show that you can't win them all. Even though we have been through so much together, we weren't destined to win. Perhaps it was my own doings that caused this. Perhaps I'm rambling for too long now. Anyways, I would just like to say thank you for watching and subscribe.